My nephew unexpectedly entered while I was engaged in play with my. As the clock struck past midnight, I found myself unable to find solace in sleep. After what felt like an eternity of restless tossing and turning, I finally decided to rise and seek a glass of water. The living room lights continued to flicker, a haunting reminder of that night when my brother Casey had sent Paul to stay with me. The revelation of his fate pressed down upon my heart like a heavy shroud. His wife had turned against him, shattering his world into fragments. Paul, having dedicated countless years to one woman, was caught off guard in the most heart-wrenching way. Simultaneously, Casey's son grappled with his own challenges, unable to navigate the chaos surrounding him. "Jessica, I implore you to welcome him in," Casey had pleaded. "He seeks tranquility." Though my acquaintance with Paul was limited, it was clear that his anguish arose from the betrayal of a woman. Our family had already faced an overwhelming amount of loss, and now this seemed like yet another devastating blow. 7 years have passed since I lost my husband Jacob, a heart-wrenching moment that occurred when I was 60. He departed this world suddenly due to a heart attack. In one fleeting moment, we were shaping our dream home, a vision destined to come to life within a year. Then all motion ceased. Jacob's passing upended my existence, casting me into a profound solitude. For years, I have carried this deep sense of emptiness within me. The burden of solitude has been increasingly heavy upon my heart in recent days. This evening shines brightly among the tapestry of nights. Are you ready? This is a story unlike any other. It explores the indistinct boundaries of feeling, the tumultuous whirlwinds of disorder, and the unvoiced pleas of a revelation longing to emerge. Every moment has the potential to spark something deep within, unveiling emotions you never knew were hidden, pushing against the boundaries you thought were insurmountable. If this strikes a chord with the narrative you've been yearning to uncover, then step forward and welcome it. Tap that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Your support holds immense significance for me. As I slowly entered the living room, my gaze fell upon Paul, who was seated and completely absorbed in a romantic film playing before him. In that instant, my entire attention was devoted to helping Paul discover a sense of peace during his stay. In this moment, I found myself oblivious to the fact that life harbored its own designs. A cascade of calamities had commenced, and it would take but a solitary step, merely one, to shift the trajectory of it all. Paul cast a quick glance in my direction and asked, "Did I wake you up?" His voice resonated with a distinctive harmony. In a moment thick with uncertainty and a deep yearning for tranquility, I stood there in my nightgown, though the garment seemed to hold little significance. In that fleeting moment, I encountered a depth of loneliness I had never known before. "No," I replied, my lips curving into a soft smile. "I simply arrived to collect some water." In that moment, an overwhelming sense of solitude enveloped me. I found myself unprepared for the conclusion to arrive so soon. Maybe a brief encounter with Paul could alleviate the emptiness of the evening. Viewing a film side by side could rekindle a sense of normality, a glimmer of optimism that tranquility remained within reach. "Take a seat. Shall we experience it together, Paul?" He motioned to the empty spot on the couch next to him. The decision was made effortlessly. I longed for the embrace of warmth and a hint of meaning. Thus I took my place beside him. The film commenced, yet my focus faltered, ensnared by an unnameable unrest stirring within me. Paul's presence cast a shadow, a stranger positioned so close. His voice carried a hint of unease, a stark contrast to the blossoming romance depicted on the screen. As the couple approached, memories I thought were long buried surged back, compelling me to avert my gaze. In a fleeting moment of distraction, my hand accidentally grazed Paul's arm, sending a jolt of surprise through my veins. I flinched, words of regret tumbling from my mouth, my eyes darting away in shame. Paul hesitated for a moment, then gave a gentle nod, softly whispering, "It's okay. Desist. Contemplate it." Yet, in that instant, the distance that separated us seemed to diminish. The film continued to unfold before our eyes. Yet, everything seemed to have lost its familiar essence. In that moment, despite our seated position, neither Paul nor I could grasp any semblance of true peace. The void within us seemed to obstruct our path, a persistent reminder of the night that marked the beginning of something profound, something far more intricate than I had ever envisioned. That instant served as a harbinger of the transformations that lay ahead. The evening had veered into the realm of the peculiar. Sitting there on the couch, engrossed in a romantic movie with Paul, I felt an undeniable pull towards him. Clad in my nightgown, the proximity to another man after such a long period of solitude stirred something within me. A palpable tension was mounting, one that I found impossible to overlook. Paul's presence offered no solace, it was awakening insights within me. Perhaps it was the solitude I had embraced for years, but the proximity to another man in this manner awakened something deep within me. It was perplexing and strange, leaving me utterly bewildered. Yet, I found myself undeniably drawn to Paul, and everything began to crystallize in my mind. I remained tense and on edge, unable to find a moment of relaxation until the final credits rolled. And when it finally happened, I rose to my feet. I withdrew to my chamber, sinking into the embrace of my bed, permitting the tranquility to wrap around me for a while. In a moment of introspection, I realized I required some time for reflection. Yet the topic slipped through my fingers. Resting within a whirlwind of feelings was anything but an easy reboot. The night unfolded in a restless dance, where I found myself caught in a cycle of tossing and turning, the heavy cloak of sleeplessness drawing me inexorably toward the break of dawn. With the dawn breaking, I felt an irresistible pull towards the piano, yearning for comfort in its keys to chase away the persistent disquiet that clung to me. For almost 7 years, solitude had been my unwavering companion. With the dawn of each new day, I longed for a hint of routine. The piano lingered in the room, a familiar companion, bestowing a fragment of tranquility and conjuring memories of Jacob. With each gentle stroke of the keys, I clung to the hope that this morning would offer me a moment of solace. Suddenly, a noise from outside shattered the tranquility. A silhouette appeared at the window, disclosing Paul, who had embarked on an early morning walk through the town streets. First, he evaded my attention. As the melody danced through the air, he gently pushed open the front door and entered, while I remained lost in my music, unaware of his presence. It wasn't until I caught a glimpse of him, standing there in silence, that I became aware of his watchful gaze. My fingers paused for a fleeting moment, and the tension within me surged once more potent than ever. Nevertheless, Paul merely smiled. He gazed at me as though the world around us was perfectly in harmony, and it was a moment of exquisite beauty. "Thank you," he remarked. "Truly, that is the pinnacle. The most remarkable birthday gift I have ever received." Arrived with a wave of exhilaration as Paul stepped through the door. The atmosphere shifted, enveloping us in a sense of otherworldliness, as though we had stepped into a realm beyond our own. Then he spoke, his serene and authentic voice echoing in a manner I had never experienced before. "What I have just conveyed is, without a doubt, accurate. Seeing you, even for a fleeting moment, was the most extraordinary experience I've encountered in a long time. Today marks my 40th birthday." It was not long before I realized how those words sparked a fire deep inside me. I turned my eyes away, striving to harmonize the chaos of feelings with the soothing nature of his praise. In that instant, after years of solitude, a feeling of connection washed over me, a subtle hint of transformation lingering in the atmosphere. Following the exhilaration of that morning, I discovered a growing excitement for the approaching evening. The revelation of Paul's 40th birthday ignited within me a fervent urge to take action, to create a sense of normalcy, to infuse the day with a touch of the extraordinary. A thought suddenly illuminated my mind, prompting me to glance in his direction. "Is it your birthday today?" I asked. Shall we raise a toast to this momentous occasion? Shall we savor a glass of wine and delight in a slice of cake this evening?" Paul flashed me a surprised smile, as if to convey that perhaps, just perhaps, my suggestion might lead to an unexpectedly enjoyable evening. A playful glint sparkled in his eyes. After a moment's hesitation, he continued with a playful smirk, "But there's a twist. Please play the piano for me." There's no avoiding it any longer. Laughter bubbling forth. I endeavored to dispel the growing unease within me. "Very well," I responded. "Yet, this can only be achieved with the uncorking of a fine bottle of wine and the raising of a heartfelt toast." The brief interaction remained etched in my thoughts, casting a more profound shadow than I was willing to admit. Emotions simmered just below the surface, yet I suppressed them, persuading myself that this was simply about crafting an illusion of normalcy for a single evening. It was just a birthday, a simple gathering, nothing beyond that. In that instant, Paul spoke a phrase that was both surprising and effortlessly delivered, leaving an undeniable impact. Caught me off guard. He gazed at me with that familiar innocent expression and inquired, "How old are you? What is this?" 45. For a brief instant, I found myself suspended in the quietude. I have always sought to capture a spirit of youth. However, the genuine nature of that compliment caught me off guard. And I couldn't help but smile. "Not quite," I responded, dismissing it lightly. Yet it was challenging to hide the spark of exhilaration. His words kindled within me. I sensed a profound conflict within me, as if I were being split apart, ensnared by the comforting glow he radiated and the swirling storm of feelings I fought to keep at bay. As evening fell, Paul and I had opened our wine and settled into a kind of celebration. In the midst of our conversation, I felt an irresistible pull towards his warmth. His unwavering attention enveloped me in a comforting tranquility. An undeniable connection existed between us, a magnetic pull that grew stronger with every passing moment. A whisper from deep within compelled me to regard this as just another night. Yet, Paul raised his glass, a smile flickering across his lips, and with his vibrant eyes he teasingly asked, "So when are you going?" To execute a composition on my behalf, one must come to terms with the undeniable truth of the situation. For a brief instant following a pause of uncertainty, I took a deep breath and proclaimed, "All right, let's do it." As I settled at the piano, I let the melody cascade through the air again, yearning for it to calm the storm raging inside me. With every note I felt a change, an irresistible force beckoning me nearer to him. As I immersed myself in the music, I found comfort in his attentive gaze, in the reverence he showed, as if my performance bore the burden of existence itself. What I had expected to be a straightforward celebration evolved into something deeply significant. In that fleeting instant, I unearthed a sensation I had long since buried, something profoundly authentic. My vision became hazy as my fingers glided across the keys, each note stirring something profound within me. Yet I grappled with the challenge of pinpointing its essence. Paul's voice echoed softly in the recesses of my mind. It felt as if my heart and mind were slowly drifting apart, each pulling away into their own realms. I discovered that I was completely lost at sea. Amidst the chaos, I remained oblivious to the moment to stop, my hands instinctively drawn to another tune. In an instant, Paul materialized at my side, his hands softly enveloping mine. "You are truly remarkable," he remarked. He spoke, his voice soft and a touch wavering. "Your piano playing is truly exquisite." His words echoed in my thoughts, crafting a peculiar emptiness. His warm hands resting on mine had a way of grounding me, even as my emotions spiraled into a deeper chaos. "Let's face it, you're feeling drained." He spoke softly, his voice unwavering and soothing. "Shall we pause for a moment and unwind on the couch?" With a tender gesture, Paul led me to the couch, and I became ensnared in a tempest of feelings, struggling to comprehend the weight of the occasion. As I found my place, my thoughts danced restlessly, and then Paul returned to the piano. With a sense of wonder, I observed his fingers dance gracefully across the keys, and in an instant, he launched into the tune that I cherished most. In that moment it struck me, the melody that had echoed in my soul for years, consistently awakening something deep and meaningful. As he played each note, my heart quickened, wrapped in the enchantment of the melody, stirring memories I was unready to face. I lingered in that space, letting the melodies wrap around me, kindling a fire deep inside. At last, I found myself unable to stay motionless any longer. The melody he played lured me closer, enchanting me as though it were a siren's song. With measured steps, I drew closer to him, striving to calm the storm brewing within my heart. As I stood beside him, an overwhelming silence enveloped me, leaving me utterly speechless. I managed to say, "You're truly exceptional at this." My voice trembled as I fought to mask the frantic beating of my heart, while you played my beloved song. My words lingered in the atmosphere, echoing throughout the space as my feelings clashed within me. "Who could you possibly be?" Paul inquired, my voice scarcely rising above a whisper. "You're truly affecting me. I've never experienced anything quite like this, as I find myself completely swept away by a tempest of feelings. In a whirlwind of confusion, excitement, terror, and joy, our gazes met, and the closeness between us was unmistakable. I felt the warmth of his breath as I locked my gaze with his eyes. It felt like I was diving headfirst into a different realm altogether. In that fleeting moment, the very fabric of time unraveled. His gaze upon me ignited a flutter in my chest, wrapping me in a comforting embrace. In that ephemeral instant, it seemed we were the only souls in existence, as all else dissolved into the background, crafting a deep lucidity amidst the tumult of life. In that instant, it was merely the two of us. The surroundings dissolved into nothingness, and a profound clarity enveloped me, unlike anything I had ever felt before. My eyes were fixed on his, and for a brief moment, nothing else mattered. All the confusion, fear, and chaotic thoughts dissipated, leaving just Paul and me in our own universe. His hand settled softly on my waist, strong enough to ground me while remaining tender enough to let me draw in a breath. My mind whirled, caught in a tumult where the incessant whine blurred with the flood of emotions surging within me. In the absence of Paul's unwavering support, I found myself anxious about the possibility of stumbling. The profoundness in his gaze beckoned me nearer. In that fleeting moment, his warmth wrapped around me, imparting a deep sense of security that restored the equilibrium I so urgently sought. Amidst the chaos, it is crucial to carve out a moment for stillness and renewal. He whispered softly, guiding me to the couch, his words enveloping me like a comforting embrace. Still, the feeling of his hands on my waist awakened a blend of solace and discomfort inside me. As I nestled into my seat, his hands lingered for a brief instant. Once again, our gazes intertwined, bound by a silent understanding. I found myself entirely in the dark. The words elude me, yet the warmth of his touch enveloped me, rendering the night both unforgettable and profoundly powerful in a manner I struggled to articulate. That evening on the couch transformed into one of the most exhilarating, indelible nights of my existence. Everything unfolded in a whirlwind, leaving me with scarcely a moment to grasp it all before dawn broke and I opened my eyes. As I rose from my slumber and made my way to the living room, the rich aroma of coffee drifted in from the kitchen, coaxing me from my drowsy haze. There he stood, Paul, in the kitchen, bare-chested, crafting a cup of coffee. His body, still warm and robust from the night prior, was laid bare before me, and as I reflected on the events of last night, an unfamiliar sensation coursed through my entire being. As I revisited the events of the night in my mind, a blend of nerves and exhilaration washed over me. As I replayed the night in my mind, a wave of confusion washed over me, leaving me uncertain about what lay ahead. Where might I even start to unravel that mystery? Yet, one truth stood unmistakably evident. On that night, an unparalleled connection blossomed between us, one I had never experienced before. This moment seemed to herald the beginning of a transformation that could alter the course of my life eternally. Paul pivoted away from the kitchen, his gaze gentle and his smile inviting. A hush surrounded us, heavy with the weight of unexpressed thoughts. As I stood there observing him, I wrestled with the tempest of feelings churning inside me. I found myself in a state of complete disorientation, in a state of uncertainty, contemplating the next steps and the path ahead. In that instant, I found myself utterly enveloped. Yet I felt a change in the air, a change that cannot be avoided, approaching on the horizon. As I stood there as Jessica, a chaotic mix of excitement and confusion churned inside me. Since the previous night, everything had unraveled into a tapestry of confusion. The events had transpired with astonishing swiftness. My garments are scattered haphazardly across the floor. As I cast my gaze upon them, I allowed my eyes to flutter shut for just an instant. With a subtle shake of my head, I found myself engulfed by the intricacies of it all. My thoughts eluded me, and my feelings were even more inscrutable. I sprang to my feet and hurried to the bathroom. A shower was essential for me, an opportunity to find clarity and distance myself from the tempest of emotions that loomed over me. The nightgown and underwear lay undisturbed in their place. Unimportant at that time, all I longed for was to surrender to the embrace of the cascading hot water, to break free from the turmoil, just for a brief instant. Eventually, I stepped out of the shower, enveloping myself in a towel. In an unexpected moment, the door swung wide open. Paul remained motionless in that spot. In that fleeting instant, I found myself utterly immobilized. Neither of us stirred. Our gazes intertwined and lingered, engaged in a stare so profound it seemed as though time itself had come to a standstill. I found myself in a state of uncertainty. The turmoil churning inside me was likely unmistakable. It left me feeling completely bare and defenseless. Nevertheless, I found myself unable to hold back the words that poured out uncontrollably. Pouring forth in a torrent, I find myself utterly perplexed by the current situation. I spoke, my voice quivering ever so slightly. What we are undertaking, I am acutely aware of its inherent wrongness. Yet it seems as though I am lost in a dream. Paul advanced another step forward. His eyes swirled with a storm of conflicting emotions. Departing, we found ourselves shrouded in uncertainty about what the future held. A deep longing stirred within me to find my voice, to shatter the stillness. Yet the words slipped through my fingers. Confined within the shadows of my thoughts, your coffee awaits, perfectly brewed and ready for you. Paul articulated his thoughts. His voice quivered ever so slightly as my eyes settled on him. A realization washed over me, revealing the chaos intertwined with an unexpected beauty in everything around me. A contemplation of my indifference towards what lies ahead. In that ephemeral instant, as I nestled into my chair, cradling a steaming cup of coffee, a whirlwind of uncertainty churned in the depths of my soul. Before me, Paul took his seat, our gazes intertwined in a wordless communion. Every look served as a poignant reminder of the tempest that had unraveled between us. The events unfolded with such rapidity that I found it difficult to fully comprehend the significance of our choices. What feelings simmered just below the surface? Yearning for expression, seeking understanding in the midst of turmoil. Words danced just out of reach, teasing him with their absence. Jessica, Paul commenced, his voice laden with feeling. Our actions were undeniably misguided. I am cognizant of that. What led us to permit this to happen? His eyes mirrored a deep sense of guilt. Nevertheless, an understanding lingered in the air. He acknowledged. In the same manner I proceeded. The events had spiraled beyond our control. Regret is something we should embrace. This was a journey we ought to have avoided. I had accomplished it. A fleeting pause enveloped me, as my thoughts wove themselves into a complex tapestry. Nevertheless, finally, I found my voice. Indeed, maybe it all transpired in a whirlwind. Nevertheless, it was not as it should have been. We permitted intricacies to intertwine themselves within our narrative, and at this moment, upon reflection, everything appeared utterly absurd. This was an error on the part of both of us. I observed. A weight descended upon my heart, yet a peculiar sense of relief enveloped me as I embraced the truth. We had both ventured beyond the boundaries. Paul paused, enveloped in a moment of silence. His eyes were locked onto the ground, before he finally raised his gaze to meet mine. Let us act as though this event never transpired, Jessica remarked. His voice was both steady and gentle. I ponder, for the benefit of us both. It is time for us to move on from this. What advantages might emerge from extending this? Particularly when chaos reigns supreme, we require some space between us. As he uttered those words, a sensation awakened deep within me. He was indeed right. Continuing down this path would only lead to suffering for us both. Indeed, I responded, drawing in a deep breath. Perhaps this is for the best should you decide to leave. Could very well be the solution. This appears to be the most advantageous choice for both parties involved. Paul inclined his head in acknowledgement. His demeanor was unwavering. This is something I must accomplish, he remarked. This decision is the best course of action for us both. We lingered in silence for a few moments, merely gazing into one another's eyes. At that precise instant, we both came to understand the significance of this decision. Recognizing that our actions in those shadowy times were merely a misstep, confronting that reality could very well be the initial stride forward. In the quest to amend our situation, it became evident that instead of becoming more ensnared, allowing one another the essential distance emerged as the most promising route forward. I hope you found my story captivating. This journey has been nothing short of exhilarating. Sharing it with you has filled me with profound joy. If you wish to delve deeper into stories of this nature, don't forget to subscribe and enable notifications. You will be the first to be informed when a new episode becomes available. Your support through likes and comments holds immense significance for me. Listening to your thoughts and emotions brings a profound sense of joy. Your support holds immeasurable worth. I am profoundly grateful for the unwavering support you have all shown throughout this artistic endeavor. I eagerly anticipate the opportunity to unveil the next tale to you.